This is Libraries Build Business monthly community discussion. These are peer-to-peer monthly informal events for people to talk about their business and entrepreneurship services at the library. We typically have a featured speaker. Like I mentioned, Diane and Tom here are our featured speaker today. So if you're ever interested in doing that, I would love to have you. But we also have time just for people to share updates on what they're working on, ask questions. Love for you all to, yeah, just kind of let us know what you're working on. So I have a couple of announcements, but see if anybody else has announcements first. Rachel was just telling us about the beehive. Yes, Dorothy, I see your hand.
This is related in terms of partnerships and libraries with Maryland Public Television. So it's collaborating over the years around media literacy. And MPT even started a ambassador program where librarians were the navigation ambassadors. So on Tuesday, they're going to be launching a media literacy and education center. And libraries are playing a part of it. So just as an example of partnership with public media.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, as we all know, the media literacy piece is very important in all facets of life and definitely for business too. That's great. Anybody else? Hi, Elizabeth. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Anybody else have announcements to share? Anything they're working on, they want to give us an update on? A question for the group, anything?
I can share. We just had our, oh my gosh, I think it's, yeah, the 21st annual Power Up competition. Award ceremony was last night. Top prize winner was Noir Yoga, who won $20,000. I'm just going to drop the link to the press release. So everybody, I just got it myself, so I am not 100% up to date on all the information, but I'll just drop this here, the link, so you can read about first, second, and third prize. There's also merit award winners and audience favorite prize, I think, or something like that. Yeah. Anyways, that's it.
That's it. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I will definitely read the press release and Jim, maybe you can share that on Slack for everybody that's not here today. Oh, and Dorothy's dropped the link for the media literacy program in the chat as well. Thank you, Dorothy. I'll definitely read up on that. Anybody else? Okay, well, just a couple of quick announcements from me. First of all, we have a YouTube page. We record these meetings, so if you've missed any of our past meetings, you can catch them on YouTube. We also have a Slack, which is where we have asynchronous discussion, drop resources, share announcements and updates. So if you haven't already, I invite you to join that to stay up to date, yes, with our community here. I don't know that I have any other announcements. I was hoping Carly was going to join. They just did the ELC fall mini conference that we will share the recording of that when that's available. That was last week and featured some of our friends that typically join this meeting to talk about their business programs and kind of little lightning sessions. So definitely be on the lookout for that recording when it's out. And I think that's it. We have, we have the holidays coming up, so we'll have one more Libraries Build Business meeting of 2024. If you're interested in being the speaker, we'd love to have you for that, or for any of the sessions in 2025. Definitely let me know if you'd like to talk about your business program in this meeting. Okay, anybody else before I turn it over to Diane and Tom?
I do have one quick announcement, actually. So I've been part of this community discussion and part of the community group for the last 2 years, and I am sad to announce that this will be my last meeting or my last time attending the Libraries Build Business community discussions. I'm moving on to a different position and will be actually heading to Armenia as a Peace Corps volunteer shortly. So
Wow.
yeah, and I wanted to say that it's been a great privilege, and I've learned a lot being a part of this group the last couple of years, and I promise to carry the torch of libraries and the various good that they do for their communities forward any way I can. But in any case, yeah, thank you all. And I'm looking forward to what Diane has to say today.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, lots of excitement about your next steps. Yeah, Diane, Tom, I think the floor is yours. Thanks again for being here, and please take it away.
Before we begin, I just want to wish Jim congratulations and much good luck. You've been such a joy to work with, and whatever the next step is in your career journey, I hope it brings you much joy. And let's see. Okay, so I'd like to start out this afternoon, and I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about how Richland Library got to the point where we are currently to offer business and career services, and then I'm going to have our entrepreneur in residence, Tom Ledbetter, take it from there. So I love this photo that I'm showing on the screen right now because the NCDA, the National Career Development Association, awarded our library the Exemplary Career Center Award back in 2022. We have a small but mighty team. We have a total of 9 in our department, and we have 3 large initiatives that we take care of in our area of the library. One is career services. The second one, of course, is the focus of this afternoon's discussion, which is small business services. And we also provide a high school diploma program that is called Career Online High School. So if you take a look, we're going to go through just very briefly the other services that we offer here at Richland Library and tell you a little bit about them in order to prepare you for the very, very special focus, which is our Entrepreneur Residence Initiative. So back in 2010, we started our career services, and we were able to do that because of a Knight Foundation grant. And then in 2018, we started business services in earnest because Richland Library was the recipient of the Google Columbia Impact Challenge grant. And we received a sum of money, which allowed us to create the model for the entrepreneur in residence and also to create a library of things, which started out around the time that the pandemic took place, started out with 4 kits that our library users could check out free of charge with their library card. And it has grown just hundreds of items, and now not only at Maine, but also at several of our locations. So also our targeted programming, I was sharing with Megan that we just had a 3rd annual Veterans Small Business Owners event here at the library. We had about 45 veteran business owners, and we had 15 of our business-related organizations from the community all in one big space, and it was wonderful. And so we do programs like that. We believe that the library, all of our libraries, are the connectors between our customers and the resources of the community. Community partners, we have a monthly call, which is virtual, and we have anywhere from 15 to 20 of our partners on that call. We started this during the pandemic, and it was weekly, and now it's monthly. It's a great way for you to learn what your partners are offering in the community. I don't believe that any one organization can offer every single thing that a business owner might need. But the beauty of it is we're all collaborating, working together, and we can do referrals as well. So it's been a great experience for us. Business databases, we have a number of them. We love some of the newer ones that we've had added to our collection. One is Statista. And then, of course, we have others like Morningstar and Business Plans Handbook. There's a whole list of them. And it's great to be able to highlight those. We're having SCORE come in January because they need to know what we offer so that when they meet with a customer, they can refer them to us for the specific things that we can offer. The other thing we do offer is the Entrepreneurs and Small Business of the Midlands Facebook group. This group also started during the pandemic, and we initially had 3 people on that call or on that site, 2 library staff members and the entrepreneur in residence who was present at that time. The group has grown to over 3,600 followers, and it's a great way to share upcoming events. When the pandemic was happening, grant information, even to let everyone know that we had FEMA here recently, and we had the SBA helping FEMA. So it's a good way to network and communicate information that you want your community to be aware of. So that brings me to our very special guest today, who is going to talk about the Entrepreneur in Residence program. This program grew because of the American Library Association and Google. We were part of the initial cohort. There were 13 public libraries across the U.S. And I just recently checked here. We've had 13 residents, but 16 residencies. So normally how we do this is 4 months in the spring and 4 months in the fall. And then after we started, we realized that summer is a great opportunity to bring one of those seasoned entrepreneurs in residence back for a summer session. So if you want to look and see who's been an EIR at Richland Library, you can simply go to www.richlandlibrary.com/residence. So that takes me to welcome our special guest, Tom Ledbetter, who is going to talk about his role here as entrepreneur in residence at Richland Library.
Thank you, Diane, for that introduction. I greatly appreciate it. As I greatly appreciate the opportunity to be the entrepreneur in residence here. For those of you who are not from below the Mason-Dixon line, I have a little bit of a Southern accent, so you might you might have some fun out of that. But I have to give you a test to start with. First of all, what is the plural of y'all?
Y'all.
What's the plural of y'all? This is to be
All y'all.
Southern or not, okay?
All y'all.
All y'all. Who said that? Jessica, did you do that?
Rosalind did.
Jessica did.
I grew up in Arkansas.
Gets the golden star for the afternoon. Yes, the plural of y'all is all y'all. All right. So that's what we want to do. So if you have some fun with my accent, but let's pay serious attention to the words that are on the PowerPoint screen. First of all, Diane, go to the next slide. I have a 50-year career that I just finished. I had 30 years in manufacturing right out of college, 20 years with Midlands Tech. In South Carolina, we refer to our community colleges as technical colleges. Right, that was something that the founding fathers of the system wanted to make sure that we were doing, because, and be honest with you, when the system started in the mid and early 70s, the objective of the technical college system in South Carolina was to get Bubba and Betty Jean off the farm and into the factories here in South Carolina. And we have become nationally and internationally recognized for our ability to field a workforce in this state. I currently have two businesses. One is a consulting business that I've had since 2002. And the second is a newer business that I started last year that I started for my retirement. I am now a craftsman knife sharpener. I have a knife sharpening and cutlery sharpening businesses here in the local area. I wanted something I could do as much of or as little as I wanted to, and do it so that I could have an opportunity just to have some fun while I was retired. Next up is I have been affiliated with Kaufman and the Fast Track Entrepreneurial Offering since 2004. We have had, I currently have 1,114 graduates of that course offering over the years since 2004. More recently certified as an Ice House courseware facilitator. And I am I'm a licensed PSDM, which is problem solving, decision making facilitator. I use that mostly in my manufacturing career. That brings us to an understanding of the role as Diane has given it to me as a part of the Entrepreneur in Residence, and what I have been able to put in place with the clients that I have dealt with so far in the last 4 months. And the first is as an advisor. People are coming in looking for advice. More often than not, they have an idea. They think they have an idea for a business, and they just need somebody to talk to. And they also, with the next bullet, Diane, they also want a confidant. They want somebody that they can open up with that's not trying to sell them something. All right, you go to a law firm or an accounting firm or a bank, everybody's trying to sell you something. They're more or less what I'm dealing with right now is early stage businesses that are at the ideation point, and they need direction on how to get from where they are to the next step and the following step. And that brings up the coach. The coaching aspect of this job is wide and deep, because you don't know what you're going to run into when you open up a conversation with someone. And I have found that the range is 0 business experience to I've had and operated 20 businesses, and I've never found the right way to do it. Help me get this thing started. The coaching aspect is something that is prevalent here in the library, and that gives me a resource to hand people off to if it's necessary, because Diane and this business group here at the library have coaches. And the coaches here are well based in solid business understanding. A sounding board. I spend a lot of time listening to people. All right, as they come in, they want to talk about their business, and once they find out that it's a safe environment to do it, they do a lot of talking. And it's a matter of reflecting back to them and asking questions. But the sounding board part of this, to me, is probably the most important thing that I do. I am a supportive. I am non-critical. I have ways of suggesting that they might want to consider a different avenue or a different approach. And more often than not, after someone leaves a meeting with me, they have at least one new idea about how to approach this thing that they want to make a business as something that they haven't thought about. Diane will help me out here. I am just recently left a job where I was paid to be the resource connector for the college to the community. So I am continuing to be a dot connector. I will put together a need and a solution to that need if I know it. And I do electronic introductions. I'll do Zoom-based meetings in order to get the individuals who are trying to start a business to the right person. There are a lot of people they can talk to, but it's just a matter of finding who the right person is in the community. I was with I was with a client last Thursday here at the library, and she was wanting to get certification for a minority business supplier to the Department of Transportation here in South Carolina. I said, I just happened to know the director of Minority Affairs, Department of Transportation. I picked up the phone while she was sitting there, called him, and he actually took my call, and I was impressed that he took my call. And secondly, she was impressed that he took my call, and we had a fundamentally sound meeting. And he invited her into their facility to do some next level training and familiarization with what's going on. So that type of activity I consider to be fundamental to this job. You know, it's not just a matter of connecting with potential business owner while you're in the meeting with them. It is the ability to reach outside the library and connect them up to the resources that they need. And that's absolutely critical. I'm a facilitator. I do not pretend to be a subject matter expert. I do not pretend to be the sage on the stage. I am the guide on the side. All right. So I will put the individuals in touch with the either physically or through reading or reference or whatever. I'll get them to where they need to go, but it's up to them to take the next step. I am not measuring their success. I'm not measuring their follow through. I am being here as a service from the library, and I am encouraging them to take these steps and then follow up with me if they have any other questions. And right now, it's probably 7 out of 10 actually get back to me after our first meeting, and we'll have another meeting or we'll get together somewhere else to talk about what's going on. The art of persuasion it comes to play here. When you're a business owner or when you're a potential business owner and you've got an idea for a business, it is the best idea that has ever been hatched in the world. Okay. And when you are sitting there and I'm looking across the table at someone who's just pitched me their idea and I am having difficulty understanding what they're actually trying to do. I said, all right, back up now. Let's take this one step at a time. Who's your perfect customer? They said, everybody's my customer. And I say, okay, then circle up the wagons and stop spending money because you're going to fail. If you consider everybody to be your customer, you have no idea what it is you're trying to do. So I am persuading them by nudging them between the rails. I feel that my job is to keep them between the ditches as much as possible and keep them on the right path. But they're the ones that have to take the step on the path. I mean, it's not my skin in the game that's at play. It's their skin in the game, and I'm just trying to make sure that they understand the difference between this path, this option A, option B, option C, and where it might go to. So we spend a lot of time exploring, and I may spend a lot of time persuading someone that they need to be on a different path. All right, but before we leave that page right there, any questions? I didn't intend this to be a one-way conversation. I'm hoping that you've got questions or whatever. And if you have questions, either ask them or put them in a chat. Anybody? By the way, I'm an experienced professor at the higher education level. If I don't get questions, I'm going to start asking people questions. All right. So I will be indiscriminate as to who I choose to answer the questions. All right. Go ahead, Diane. What we've seen now, this is what I've seen from my perspective, and most of the people that I've dealt with as clients will tell you this. They did not realize that the Richland Library offered this as a community resource, and they become the primary trumpet and amplifier for the EIR services out in the community. Because I will ask them, just like you're supposed to do in your own business, how did you find me? And more often than not, they have been referred to this resource by someone who has been a client of the service before. So it is definitely a community resource. And what's really nice about it is it's provided through grant money for the library, and it's provided at no cost to the participants. Right? They have no cost whatsoever other than their time to participate in this. And once they see how they can do it and how they can go about it, it becomes something of very palatable and very real to them. We also have a pattern in practice here of reaching underserved communities. I mentioned earlier that in combination with the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunity, we've offered Fast Track since 2004. I've also offered this through other communities and through the Richland Library. We are reaching directly into underserved communities. It's the underserved communities that have been participating in this program.
Mm-hmm.
The Fast Track program has I've got, like I said, over 1,100 graduates. 85% of those folks that participated were female, and 90% of the females that participated were of color. It is a major touch point in the community to bring to go after these underserved communities and see some of them be successful in their activities. Now, I had a question here. It popped up in the chat box. It says, "How long is your tenure?" The tenure for these positions is 4 months. The one that I'm in right now is 4 months. So I'm August, September, October, and November. Diane, I say you take December and January off. You do February, March, and April. All right. February, March, April, May. Then you do a 2-month session in the summer, and then you do August, September, October, and November. So there are 3 rounds a year, 2 of 4 months and 1 of 2 months. So that's and how much experience in business should a prospective EIR have? I don't know whether it's a matter of so much is the experience as their ability to translate that experience into lessons and opportunities for the participants. I would say, though, is Diana, you can help me out here. I would say at least, I'm going to say at least 10 years of business experience in total. And some of that has to have been running your own business. You have to be able to walk the talk, all right, of actually having done that. What do you think, Diane?
I was also going to add, Tom, that regarding the qualifications that we look for, yes, years in business is important, but the person also has to be good at public speaking. They have to be able to be a good teacher because they're sharing information. I mean, Tom hits all the boxes. But one thing I did want to mention too, we have specifically chosen entrepreneurs that are from various industries in our community. So we do this because they each have their own following. They present different types of programs. For example, Tom's program for November will be next Tuesday, and he's going to be talking about the entrepreneurial mindset. And I don't know, Tom, if you want to address that, why, we chose that topic. But again, it's you have to look at your community and what the needs are, and don't just think that you know what the need is. You need to talk to the small business owners and also the other small business organizations who help us during those community partner calls. What are you hearing? What's trending? What's a need that, we need to address here at the library? How can the entrepreneur in residence help that process? Tom, do you want to talk about the entrepreneurial mindset for just a minute?
Yes, right before I retired from Midlands Technical College, I was nominated to be to go through training and become a certified facilitator for the Entrepreneurial Mindset Profile (EMP). This is done out of Eckerd College. They've been doing this program probably 4 years now, maybe or more. But it's a personal assessment that assesses 14 characteristics of entrepreneurship and small business ownership as on a personal basis. It's skill sets and it's mindset. Out of those 14 characteristics, you'll get a report back based on your participation in the survey itself. You do the survey. The survey is submitted to and then sorted and addressed by Eckerd College. As a facilitator, they send that back to me. I have a chance to look at it, and then I send it to you as a participant, and we arrange time to get together to talk about it. All right, so it measures things like risk affinity. It measures things like, and I will pull these up in a couple of minutes if you'd like. But it's a really nicely done assessment of you as an entrepreneur, of you as a small business owner against 14 skills, either knowledge base or skill sets that they have determined through their research that are elementary to success. And there's no right or wrong answer on these things as much as it is knowing where you are. If you know that you're very risk averse, it's good to understand what that means when you're going into owning your own business. And these are the elements that we get to talk about. Okay. Another question.
We had a couple questions about your hours. Could I address that before we move on? Yes. Okay, please. So Tom works for the library 10 hours a week, and we asked that the entrepreneur residents have at least 5 one-on-one coaching appointments per week. Now, Tom is so passionate about this work. He's been doing more than 5. He's just a true blessing for the community. And we use a software called Calendly, and the customer can request either an in-person appointment, and we have a room where Tom is right now. It's called The Perch. He can meet in person with his customer, or they can do a virtual appointment. Now, the other 5 hours, we ask the entrepreneur residents to have at least one program each month on a timely business topic. And we also have opportunities, for example, like today, the Veterans event. Tom was with the Richland Library table and met all kinds of business owners. Like we said, we're focusing on the veterans, but of course, everyone was welcome. And so that's another part of things. Now, in that extra 5 hours, that would also be administrative time. If Tom's working on a presentation or he needs to reach out maybe to a community partner to collaborate with, that's all wrapped into that 10-hour time period. And the reason that we chose the 4 months, 2 months, 4 months, these are busy business owners. And so we don't want to take up too much of their time. But if you don't give them the 4-month time period, by the time they're onboarded, it's time to go. And the reason we do the 2 months, Tom will be coming back next summer for 2 months. He already knows all the ropes of the EIR process. So he can jump in and pick his focus for June and July. He'll do 2 programs, he'll do his appointments, and then off working on various other projects. And he has several of those that he's currently involved with. So I hope that helps answer the questions. And after we finish the presentation, I was going to show you the page where we do our offering of the current EIR and the past EIR. I think that might be helpful as well. Okay, Tom, you want to pick it up from here?
I'll pick it up. All right. There's always value in an aha factor. Aha. Wow. I didn't know that you did that. And this entrepreneur in residence program adds a new facet to the library offering. All right, so everybody said, I'm going to go to the library. I'm going to go. I'm going to go read a book. I'm going to read some newspapers. I'm going to use their business. I'm going to use their business services. I'm going to use career services. I had no idea that you had the entrepreneur in residence program. So it's a wow factor for Richland Library, and it makes it's a singular differentiating offer, and that's one of the things that I preach to my candidates that come through is what's different and what differentiates you and your business from your competition. This business services group here at Richland Library in general, and specifically the Entrepreneur in Residence program, offers a shining example of an enrichment possibility that's free to the community. And that's part of this new energy form in the entrepreneurial community. We're in the capital of South Carolina. We have the state university, University of South Carolina here. We have University of South Carolina technology incubators. We have 8 chambers of commerce within probably 25-mile radius of downtown Columbia because of the community and the growth that we've got. Everyone is surprised. Everyone in the entrepreneurial small business community is surprised to the extent that Richland Library has become engaged in this aspect of economic development. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what it is. This program is growing our economy from the inside out. All right, so we are launching new businesses. We are putting new businesses on Main Street. We're putting businesses in home-based businesses, service areas. We also have the support in the region for inventors and people that have invented a new thing or a new opportunity. So they can look to the library as a resource which they might not have been able to do before. As such, they become familiar with the library. Most every one of them it establishes an access and use of other library resources. And the biggest one of that they use here as far as this program is concerned are the research capabilities and the databases that this library has access to. We have, I call them librarians, Diane. They're probably called something else, but
that's fine. We love to be called librarians.
We are. You can come up to the second or third floor, and if I wanted to start a business in, for instance, motorcycle service, what can I find out about motorcycle ownership in this region? How many motorcycles are they? You come to the library here, you talk to one of these folks here behind the resource desk, you tell them, I'm looking for ownership records and stuff for motorcycles in Richland County. They know exactly where to go. They can get you from point A to point B very quickly. And I know all of you that are in this business like the idea of being able to provide that kind of service. They also use the career service areas. They're using the resume writing service that's here. They're using the business coaching, the personal coaching aspects of the folks that have out here. And not only does it add a new facet to the service offering of the library, it adds value to the library's presence in the community. And when I mean add value, that means I can get something here that I can't get anywhere else. And I keep saying it, it's offered in a free fashion. I mean, the services are being provided by the library. And in a lot of entrepreneurial communities and startup communities, there are predator organizations out there that prey on new businesses trying to sell them services as they get started. I ran into that when I started my business in 2002. And I said to myself, I said, I'm not paying somebody for common sense. All right. I'm not paying somebody to be a subject matter expert when I don't need one. I want a subject matter expert when I do need it. And I don't want to have to wade through purchase orders and spend my money to get started. That's what's a tremendous benefit to the library at this point, is that they are seen as a key resource in this entrepreneurial community here that we have.
I do want to share something at this point. You know, I admire Tom's entrepreneurial skill set for many reasons, but one thing I think that we need to share here, he thinks outside the box. So he had a couple who wanted to start a bakery, but they didn't have the money to set up a brick and mortar business. So Tom has many, many connections in the community, and he knew of someone who owned a assisted living facility that had a beautiful kitchen, was a commercial kitchen. And so he made the virtual connection because he's a connector just like the library. And that couple was able to make arrangements with this assisted living facility. They stopped using their kitchen, let's say at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and the couple came in, used the facility in the evening and did their baking. And the only thing that they had to do was to make birthday cakes for the residents of that facility. So again, out of the box thinking, these are times when we don't need to only do things in a traditional way. We need to do them in new and creative ways.
I look at that, Diane, and I thank you for that. But you know, when I look at this right now, one of the best things that we can do with this service is, and Diane's heard me say this many times, is prevent people from spending money when they don't need to spend money. If you're trying to start a business and you start spending money at the wrong time, you're gonna run out of cash. You know, and that traditionally has been the number one reason that small businesses fail. They run out of cash. Either they underestimated the amount of cash that they need to get started, or they ran into something unexpected in the timeline. And I don't know how it is in your hometowns and communities, but in this community here, if you got to get a permit issued by the planning department in the city, or you have to get a building permit issued by the planning department in the city, you could add months to your timeline. And you need to know that before you start spending money. So my idea here is to not spend money, to look at that opportunity and to prevent what has now become the number one reason that businesses fail. It always was, ran out of money. But starting in 2022 and again in 2023, the number one reason small businesses fail is they got all the way to the market with a product for which there was no demand.
Hey, Tom, say that again, because I think that's something that's worthy of repeating.
Yeah, they get, you know, for instance, all right, I've got this pen here, all right, and I'll show you this. And I designed this pen. I invented this. And this is the best writing instrument in the world. I know it is because it's my idea and it's just wonderful. In fact, it's so wonderful. I went and I spent 15 grand to get a patent on this pen. And I've now got 5 million of these things ordered from China at 25 cents each. My landed cost is going to be 25 cents. I'm going to sell them for $1.50 each. I'm going to be rich. And I turned around to Jim and say, Jim, what do you think of this pen? Jim looks at it and said, that's great. Have you got a red one? And I look back at Jim and I said, you know, all right, I've just come to market with a pen for which there's a demand for something I did not anticipate, because I was so self-centered and so focused on getting this thing to the marketplace, I forgot to ask potential customers what they thought of it. And that is a real occurrence and a real happening in the entrepreneurial world. With the onset of the internet and the ability to market and sell online, you can get all the way to the marketplace to have products, have all your money spent providing this service or this product, and nobody wants it because they're not interested. They have not been asked and they don't understand. The opportunity to be in business is probably never more critical than it's ever been in the history of the United States. Okay, we have an entrepreneurial life cycle, and it's a circle. We started out with an agricultural community. We moved to a small business community. We moved to the industrial community. We moved to the knowledge economy. We moved to the internet-based economy. Now we're coming right back around to the small business community again. I think as we're coming full circle in the opportunity, and I'm making some inways with the educational system here. But my impression is juniors, seniors in high school right now need to be told about being in business for themselves, and they need to be ready to do that, because at some point in the future, that might be the only way they make a living, and is to be qualified and be in business for themselves. So I think we have the Gen Alpha, for instance, which is the generation that started being born in 2010, is still being born, and they'll probably end up going out from 2010 to 2025. But by the time they hit the marketplace, and the oldest of them right now is 14 years old. So by the time they hit the marketplace, they may have to be in business for themselves in order to make a living. And that's a scary proposition for what they want to do, because we train students in a lot of different skills, but we don't train them to use these skills as the owner of a business. And the sooner they get started on that, the better. I think the better off we're going to be. So there again, that's my Southern opinion of things that go on in the world right now. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this afternoon. Do I have any more questions? All right, you're pushing me now as far as the professorship is concerned. Okay, Megan, are there any questions? Anything else that you'd like to cover?
Diane, there's one more in the chat about the link to the EIR program. I see you pulled that up. So if you want to.
Yes, I'll just spend a minute or two here, and then we're going to ask Tom for a little bit of advice. Okay, so this is our residence page. Above here, we talk about the artist in residence, but we always highlight our current entrepreneur in residence. You will notice here that if you want to schedule an appointment with Tom, he's with us through the end of November. And as I mentioned, we use Calendly. It works really well. And then his upcoming events would be listed here. Here's a little bit of background about him. And then we talk about the funding that we receive, which is wonderful because the community strongly supports this initiative here in Columbia and Richland County. And then if you scroll down here, these are our past residents. And as I mentioned, each one of them has a specialty area. Starlet Miller, for example, hers is tax and accounting. Beth Ruffin is EDI, whereas Shonda Pratt is a visibility coach. It just goes on and on and on. So as I said, we've had 13 different residents, and we've had 16 residencies, and we are going full steam ahead. So the other thing I did want to mention about those one-on-one appointments, Tom keeps saying, don't spend money. Remember, the community that we're helping, we just talked about this at the event that we did for the veterans. You know, it might be, it's $100 to meet with this person. But if you're helping a business owner who has limited resources, that $100 might be like $1,000 to them. And there's no reason to do that, because today, for example, we had Tom and 15 business organizations all offering services for free. And so, I mean, I just felt that was a joyful event. It doesn't have to be veterans. It can be women. Tom is going to be starting his third cohort March 17th of 2025 for Fast Track for the Female Entrepreneur. That's an 8-part series. All of these services are free. So again, if you have questions, please ask Tom or myself. And let's see, the track of the impact of the program. Does Tom keep a spreadsheet? Yes, he does. And we just talked today about what he's going to include in his report at the end of his residency. So he tells us how many people he met with, what types of businesses. We get feedback from those customers, quotes from them. Oh, no. This is a paid residency. And for the first years that we did this, we relied solely on grant money. Okay. And I have to say, this year, the library doubled that money by giving us a line item in the library budget. So I was just thrilled with that because we can, sky's the limit now. We can do all kinds of things. And yes, there is an application process. There's an interview process. And what we do is hopefully choose both the spring 2025 and the fall 2025 EIR during that process. And of course, Tom will be coming back in the summer for June and July. But there is a committee in our department. Let's say we're not qualified to give advice. Right. We point our customers to the resources, even when we do book an appointment, which Tom was saying you can get research assistance. That's a free one-on-one service, but we always say this resource provides this information. It's not Diane saying it because I'm not a business expert. Okay, I would know what resources. You know how they say about librarians, oh, you know everything. No, we don't. We know where to look though. Okay, do we have them sign a waiver? Are we talking about the EIR? About the advice? Okay. These are suggestions. It's the same thing. And Sylvie, you can jump in here if you'd like. That we do during a coaching appointment. We make suggestions, but ultimately it's the responsibility of the business owner or the career coaching customer to make the final decision about their resume, about their business. We are providing the resource. We are the connector between the customer and the resource. We're not saying, well, if you don't do this, this isn't going to work. No, it's suggestions, resources. Ultimately, it's the responsibility of the career coaching customer or the business owner. Tom, you want to add anything to that?
I agree, and we also have an understanding that for all practical purposes, what happens during the 45-minute Zoom call stays in the 45-minute Zoom call. We've not signed a non-disclosure agreement. I offer them that if they would like to have it, but I've not had anybody take me up on it because for all practical purposes, where we are in their business journey is at the front door. Okay. And I advise them on things like, intellectual property. I said, I'm not a lawyer, but I can connect you with an intellectual property lawyer. I'm not an accountant, but I can connect you with a CPA. I'm not a banker. I can connect you with that. I'm not an insurance agent, but I can connect you with these resources and give them the point to give them the direction to go and make contact with these other resources. So I'm not saying you need to get an insurance policy of this amount for these activities, et cetera. I'm saying these types of things can be covered by an insurance professional. And if you don't know one, I'd be happy to give you a recommendation for 2 or 3. Okay, so it works that way.
Okay, Michelle has a comment. I appreciate your sharing that you offered them a non-disclosure agreement. I've met entrepreneurs that really want to protect their idea and are hesitant to ask for help. This is truly, there's a high code of ethics. It's the same situation when you meet with a career coach. They follow the NCDA, National Career Development Association Code of Ethics, because the situation is, ultimately, it's the choice of the person who's asking for this help. And it would be no different if you go to Tom or you go to Sylvie for a coaching appointment. That stays between those two individuals and it doesn't go beyond there. Now, someone asked in the chat also about how do we recruit the entrepreneurs? Okay, one way we do that is through our community partners. So we just had a meeting at the beginning of November, and I said to folks, okay, we're going to be looking for someone for spring and fall of 2025. If you know of someone, please share that the application will go up in early December. We'll be interviewing the first 2 weeks in January. Onboarding, the second 2 weeks in January, and our new entrepreneur in residence for spring 2025 will start at the beginning of February. There also is a memorandum of understanding that is created between the library and the entrepreneur in residence. So we clearly spell out the responsibilities of each party. And also the entrepreneur in residence has an opportunity to meet with our marketing department because they have social media platforms that the library uses. And usually, if not always, so does the entrepreneur in residence. So we want to make sure that everyone is on the same page when we're promoting these services and opportunities to our community.
Well, one thing, Diane, in closing, it goes back to this question about the that Michelle asked. I put my highest priority value for me is on my reputation. I'm not going to do anything intentionally that's going to jeopardize or risk my reputation. And when someone asked me about, do you sign a non-disclosure agreement or et cetera, I said, as far as I am concerned, it's not necessary because I am operating at this level of ethical behavior and I cannot afford to be found operating anywhere else. And sometimes they forget that the person on the other side of the table also has a reason to maintain the intimacy and the secret of this. But the interesting thing about people and the entrepreneurs and their ideas, everybody has the best idea in the world. And everybody wants to get to market as fast as they can. And if they've made a thing, they don't want to show it to anybody until they get it out there. The problem with the current laws as far as intellectual property concern around copyright, around trademark, around patents, etc., is first to file. It's not the first person to have the idea; it's the first to file the idea with the USPTO. And that's where you need to be very careful who you share your information with. So I say to folks, if you're going to share the information, take the steps necessary to protect it as much as you can. And there are right times to do a patent, and there are times when it's not. You don't need a patent, all right? And those will come up in the business case. But the idea here is that treat the world like you want to be treated. But what was it? I think it was President Reagan said, "Trust but verify." You need to make sure that anyone that you think is trustworthy, that you verify that fact, and do what you want to do. Okay. And again, I thank you for the time and the opportunity to talk to this group very much. Thank you.
And Michelle asked one final question. Basically, I'd be happy to share my email address, but Tom and I talk all the time, and so do the other entrepreneurs when they're working with the library. We have a very engaged communication through text and phone calls and emails, and someone from my team is always present at the programs that we offer. So if there's any connection, that needs to be made, we take care of it right away. I just find that that's the best way to do things. Now, Tom has a program on Tuesday. We've been interacting back and forth, and, it's not like you make a decision about something and we're going to keep it one way. So Tom and I have talked about his program on Tuesday, and we decided, we're going to go ahead and offer a follow-up in December. And what I'm going to do is have Tom come and be a guest speaker. Even though his residency ends at the end of November, he'll be back in December to talk about the entrepreneurial mindset. So I hope that helps. And I'm going to put my email address in the chat. Does anyone have any final questions for us?
Thank you so much, Tom and Diane. As you can see, people want to follow up with you both. So this was a really helpful conversation. It's always so inspiring to hear what the EIRs are up to at Richland. I dropped an exit ticket in the chat. If you have feedback on the session or you have ideas for a future session, please take 30 seconds to fill that out. If there are additional questions, we can hang on for another minute. I'll keep the line open if anyone wants to hang back and chat. But otherwise, thanks everyone for being here. See you in December. Thanks again to Tom and Diane for leading us today.
Great to see everyone. Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.